Hello. My name is Sir George Young, and this week I'm taking you to another one of my favourite places, the historic university city of Oxford. I don't often come here these days, and when I have that rare chance, I always take the opportunity to shake off the cares of state for a few hours and take a breath of really fresh air. A promenade down Broad Street, the historic heart of the city and of the university. Now first, I'd like to show you Blackwell's bookshop. It's been in the continuous ownership of the Blackwell family since 1872. It's said to have over 1,000 miles of shelving and books covering every topic under the sun, more than one could read in a lifetime.
About this unpopular scheme, you could only get half a dozen people.
And on my right, the Clarendon Building, a fine piece of neoclassicism by Nicholas Hawksmoor. And just look at the deep articulation of the extenuated pediment.
All the pollution from the road. Some of us can't even breathe anymore. You see what it says? The building's not...
Aha! A welcoming hostelry, the King's Arms, built in 1756 as a staging post for coaches to London. But there's no time to linger amongst the lunchtime crush, for we must move on. And as we return up Broad Street, time to remember that this was the site of the burning of the last Protestant martyrs. Now luckily those days are long since past.
Stop the bypass, you fool! We love you, but we don't love your roads!
Let's just pop into Balliol College, the alma mater of men of letters, prime ministers and parliamentarians through the ages. I often wonder, as I join the cheery throng of students around the Porter's Lodge, if among them perhaps there are the statesmen of the future. Another Gladstone, perhaps. Now here's just the thing to do on my day off in Oxford. For a little window shopping in Boswell's, an excellent department store with 4 floors of riches and produce from all corners of the civilized world.
Stop the road.
Which reminds me, I must buy something for my mother's birthday. I'll call her on the mobile and find out exactly what she'd like.
There's nothing to get alarmed about, you know, we've got a lot more to be alarmed about with those kind of cases.
Stop the roads! Stop the roads!
Ah, and there's my car, waiting to carry me back to the Palace of Westminster and the burdens of high office. Just a quick jog up Broad Street to the corner of Cornmarket. And what better way to relax than a read of today's Daily Telegraph? A chance to catch up with the news of the day and yesterday's parliamentary report. And you know, it occurs to me that despite the passing of time, it seems that very little has really changed in this sleepy corner of England. And after a brisk and sadly oh so short look around Oxford, I must bid adieu. I look forward to joining you again next week in another of my favourite places.
bijna 1,5 uur de baan bezet gehouden. Ik hoop dat het weer een stukje duidelijker is geworden wat een waanzin het is om deze luchthaven uit te breiden.
Because women's groups are dealing with domestic violence on feminist principles, they are supporting women, they want to empower women and to help them to change their life.
The day in North Alabama because the multinational corporations seem to think they can treat the Southeast like some kind of third world colony. Come in here and clear cut our forest and chip it, send it over to the Pacific Rim.
Well, I've lived here all my life, and we come for walks up here. The oaks are fantastic. We come as a village. We come up for picnics and things like that.
We have rare orchids, we have butterflies, we have hundreds of oak trees, and all this is going to be destroyed in order that Celtic Energy can dig up all the coal that's underneath it. Now, we have had open cast in the past for about 46 years. So this cellar farm site is the only bit that's left as nature intended.
From Gwent in the east, across Mid Glamorgan, West Glamorgan and Dyfed, a stretch of perhaps 70 miles, there is open cast going on, or open cast proposed, destroying the whole contours of the mountainside, destroying the hydrology, destroying the nature.
Like we've seen a map of it, it's going to be big. Well, we've heard it's going to be the biggest in Europe. And you know, like I think we live in quite close to it. You feel like you're surrounded by it, you know, like it's... Where's it going to end then, I think?
Right behind me, right around, is an area that has been so-called restored, or not restored, whatever way you look at it, of open cast. This is where I played as a young man, a young boy and child, and it was rather a very attractive area to me. And now look at it.
If you go and look where open cast has taken place in the past and the place has been restored, you will find it completely changed. There are nice green fields and nice hedges around it, but it's simply monoculture. Just ryegrass in the fields and hawthorn in the hedges, with the babbling brooks that tumble down the mountainside being replaced by concrete gutters.
Although we've been fighting for 3 years through the legal channels, we've got absolutely nowhere.
We followed all the conventional routes as far as campaigning was concerned.
Sent letters.
Objections to the county council.
Appealed to the Welsh office.
We signed the petitions.
Wrote to the Ombudsman.
Going to public meetings.
Petitioned to the European Parliament.
I've suffered, and I don't want any more. 10 years out of my life, my mother had us, they cleared the place up. Estragunlis is a nice little town. How dare you come here? How dare you come?
A few weeks ago, people arrived on the site called Eco Warriors.
A few people came up from Fairmile, through from Cardiff, and knocked on Norma's door at about 10:30 at night. Said, look, we hear you're protesting against this mine. What can we do to help?
When I saw them by the door, I nearly had a fit, to be honest, because one of them had dreadlocks. Do you remember that one? I didn't know whether to invite them in or not, so I didn't know who they were.
We basically picked a spot amongst some oaks, which was near the water meadows, and it grew from there.
We just ambled up to the machinery, had a chat, sat down in front of it, and work stopped.
We'll find out now. And, you know, we were really excited, right? Oh, great, somebody cares, you know what I mean? It's not dead, somebody cares.
In the last few weeks, the villagers have been a steady stream coming up with food and water, and if they wanted nails and wood, whatever, the villagers provided them.
We've put a lot of work in, but we couldn't have done it without the local support.
In all the some languages,
I've never been on a protest with this much local support. They've been brilliant. They're really up for what we're doing.
It'd be more of a thing where you'd be going to visit people as well. You'd just be going down the road to a local's house, and it wouldn't be like they were just your local support. At the end of the day, you feel that you got some friends there.
In June of last year, June or July, we called, the local people of Cumbrath called a public meeting in the village.
We were all meeting to show our support for the tree people, and of course that we didn't want open cast. If you're against open cast, come. And I would, there had to be 300-400 people there. It was marvellous.
When you're fighting on your own, you're just a little ant that's going to be trampled under their feet. But I think they've got their reckoning coming once we start banding together. I hope so anyway.
And then they came in July with about 200 police acting as security guards, and it took them a week to do a day's work, basically, because there were so many of us.
I'm going quietly. I'll pick my own speed to go. Somebody hold up those lines.
We just joined in with the tree people. We stopped them. We sat on the road. We walked along with them slowly and.
How can you just stand there?
I do have a right to know that.
This is so unfair.
What did you join the police for?
Let's
speak for upholding the law once you break it.
The community were becoming more aware that at last they had somebody fighting with them, and really did make things very, very difficult.
The County Council agreed in their planning application after giving permission that the site would be translocated. That is, the turf would be taken up and taken about half a mile away and relaid. And the evidence is that it will not work.
The way they've set them down, they look like graves, so we're going to sort of create a bit of a graveyard effect. Got some local people coming up later for a bit of a triple aside memorial ceremony. This is the reflecting soil, and they put it in front of a big slag heap.
This area is one of the most exposed areas in the valley. There's no protection at all for what they've actually put here. No trees, nothing.
No.
There was a need to actually do something, in effect, take the fight to Celtic Energy. So it was decided to actually occupy the offices in the nearby town of Aberdare.
Well, I didn't even know where Celtic offices were, but they knew. So we went up in a convoy, didn't we?
We did. We went in a convoy. But I didn't know they were going to charge through.
They didn't harm anybody, they just ran through and went up on the roof and set the flag on fire.
It was very heartening and encouraging. We had gone right to the heart of Celtic Energy, and they didn't like it.
Here we are, you can see the devastation that they've got in mind for Sella, and this is what it's pretty much going to look like. Ripping up the land with huge, massive pieces of machinery. You can see the scars that have been made. I don't see any trees around here, I don't see any sign of wildlife, I don't see any birds nesting or sort of very much at all other than sheer devastation.
Winter was pretty good. I mean, it got down to a hardcore over the winter. Got down to about -17 on occasions, and basically it's just a case of staying in bed all day with about 10 blankets, sticking a burner on. They thought we'd just go through the winter because it was too cold. That just made us more resilient and more determined to stay.
We knew from about 6:30, 7 o'clock that there was something happening. Just that we've been caught out. We ain't got enough people here.
Fucking hell.
So I'm asking for your number. If I assaulted
He's not got a number, has he?
You would insist on me giving you my name and address. So give me your number.
Yes, you are. You are. He told us that you've got the numbers on your back and we've got to see what the numbers are. He
haven't got a number, he won't tell us.
Do you want to put that camera away before we get through?
No.
Bye-bye, Stella.
Okay.
These young people were prepared, in some cases, to put their lives at risk, to protect the oak trees, to protect the cellar site.
Terrible. You felt as if they were your own children up there. You know, I got children, well, grown up then, you know, and when you saw one like dangling on the rope, oh my God, it was awful.
I'm devastated. It's like a World War II site now. The trees have disappeared, it's been bulldozed. There are no separate fields now, it's just one ugly site. I don't recognise it anymore.
It's like a graveyard, you know, each of the tree stumps has a different gravestone. It's only a different story, it's got its own date on it and everything, you know.
My tree was 163 years old, I know now.
Having seen it at the start, with the trees in full leaf, a beautiful place with the water meadows, just to be reduced to a muddy field.
There are oak trees, hundreds of years old, and nobody living now will ever see them replaced.
I think we've always sort of felt, well, will we win, but we're not going to go down without the fight.
Without the fight, that's it.
Yeah.
They're going to rip South Wales apart. So we're going to, you know, they put a price on their environment, we raise that price.
We have won in the fact that everyone in the surrounding area supports us totally.
Our national anthem is Hen Land Vanadai and Anno Livi, the land of my fathers, which is beloved, which is dear to me. And it is that aspect which is important. We love the place we live, most of us do anyway, and we want to preserve it because it is part of ourselves. Now, because of this empowerment that these young people are given to people, they can see that there is a possibility of winning. Whether we lose a few battles on the way, I don't know, but we're certainly going to win in the long run.
It costs a lot to have a toilet seat made from the Earth's last mahogany trees. Mahogany furniture costs blood. If the Brazilian Indians who own the trees don't want to sell them, they can pay with their lives.
In dozens of documented cases, adults and children have been murdered by loggers. That is fact. No one can dispute it, except, it seems, the Advertising Standards Authority.
We were appalled by the ASA ruling. It came out on a Wednesday, so the very same day we produced this advertisement, which actually just quotes in full here the text of the ASA judgment, and we highlighted in red the bit that disturbed us. It said, the advertisers supplied the evidence only for a few killings, and the authority concluded that the advertising was unacceptable. And the headline we put here was, "How many Indians have to be killed before the Advertising Standards Authority let us tell you about them?"
It's not really a matter of how many Indians. The onus with, of advertising and proving a claim rests with the advertiser. They have to be able to show us that what they're claiming is truthful. And we weren't satisfied that they had evidence that would support that claim.
It's very important that there is that sort of independent watchdog. But what use is a watchdog that panders to vested interests, as they clearly have in this case?
This was not a shocking, controversial ad. What it said, the way in which it said it, was certainly impactful, but there's nothing in there that would surprise an audience reared on Tarantino or even Hitchcock.
For native peoples, animals, plants, and trees, mahogany is murder. Don't buy it.
My hunch is that it's probably a very good ad for young people, 15 to 25, perhaps up to 30. But I expect in terms of that broad swathe of Middle England, who are probably the biggest purchasers of mahogany in this country, I suspect it would turn them off by overly shocking them.
There is a lot of what we call yob culture advertising out there, which simply is rather cynical manipulation of the media. It's advertising that is designed to be banned so that the advert then appears in the daily papers.
There's only one way we can get Jacques Chirac to stop his nuclear testing program in the South Pacific. And that's to hit him where it really hurts. Drop a bomb on Chirac's plans. Boycott French wine.
The advantage that some of these charities have is that what they're speaking about compared to your average washing up liquid or whatever is terribly important. And within that, there has to be a role for progressive type advertising. I worry that the only solution that they seem to be able to come to terms with is shock. The Animal Welfare IFAW have now got this ad out with a picture of John Wayne Bobbitt's severed penis. So it's almost as though, right, we've done penises, let's move on to something even more shocking now.
There was an argument that charities are becoming sensationalists because they're under pressure for funding. There was no evidence showing that charities were under pressure of their funding. It seems like the ASA decided, oh, well, it's about time we took these people down a peg or two.
Jeremy, please show some more camcorder classics. A pleasure. Let's see what we got here. Oh, this is another contestant in our Search for a Star competition. You know, it's fast becoming one of our most popular features. I tell you, let's see this week's lucky hopeful. Hey, listen, despite that last joke, please don't go away. Join us after the break.
Peugeot, the drive of your life.
This government has an obligation to safeguard the sovereignty of Cyprus, but has done nothing. Although it says it doesn't recognize the north part of Cyprus as a separate state, it imports products from the north part of Cyprus.
The fears and anxieties of Turkey are constantly forgotten.
It seems that every year, one of us gets beaten up, thanks to the law officers here.
Όλα τα κράτη, τα μεγάλα κράτη, η Αγγλία, η Αμερική, να μας βοηθήσουν να ελευθερωθούν τα σπίτια μας, οι τόποι μας, τα χωράφια των γονιών μας.
And we want to show to people that we still care. We want to fight for justice because we've had enough for far too long. This story's been going on, the same story.
χαλάσαν τα πληθόκτιστα τα σπίτια μας. Χαλάσαν τα παλάτια της χαράς μας. Δεν έχει πια ο θείος έρωτας, ο έρωτας και πει, καλαφιασμένος έγινε φευγάτος.
So do you feel today's gone fairly peacefully and without incident? No comment. Yeah, we've got our answer. Could you tell us how many arrests there have been today? I think I saw one. Would you have any more numbers than that?
Hello?
Hello, I wonder if you can tell me, is that SO12?
Yes, it is. Is that Mr.
Mansfield?
Mr. Mansfield? How can I help you?
Yeah, I'd like to know if you've got any files on me. I'm not talking about criminal records here, I'm talking about files that are kept on members of the public that are considered a threat to national security or are considered subversive.
I mean, Mr. Mansfield, it wouldn't make any difference because any files that are kept by any department regarding anything are covered by the Data Protection Act.
How about anyone else? Is there any other organisations, such as perhaps the security services, do they keep files on people?
I wouldn't know. I mean, if they do, then you'd have to ring them or write to them.
There we are. MI5's new £350 million headquarters on London's Embankment, Thames House. Excuse me, I don't know if you can help me. I'm trying to find the offices of MI5. I was told it was Thames House.
No, I'm sorry. I don't know.
It's just I saw you coming out of the building. I thought you might know.
No, it's not MI. Good group, though.
No.
Try up there, around to the left.
No such place.
Huh?
There's no such place. Don't let them see you use that round here. They come out and nick you.
Well, I'm there for an interview.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I wonder what.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's it. That's the main interest down there.
Hi there.
You wanted to see somebody?
Yeah, I've been given that for around the other side. I wanted to know information about personal files, and I'd like to know if I'm on one of those files.
No, national computers don't come into us. No.
I thought you had access to...
We don't have access to anything. We have our own business, and we do our own business, which is directly related to the government.
Oh, is that GCHQ?
Yeah.
Right, I wonder if you'd help me. I've been having some problems with my telephone, and I think GCHQ might be monitoring my calls.
No, GCHQ has no remit to do anything at all along those lines.
Do you not intercept transatlantic telephone calls?
No.
You sure?
I'm not allowed to talk about GCHQ's activities, but certainly the matter that you're worried about sounds more like a local problem with your telephone line or possibly with your telephone operators itself.
So it's BT I need to talk to?
I suggest you talk to BT, yes.
I can hear these sort of whistles and clicks on the line. I think the telephone might be bugged.
Your phone, is it?
Yeah, but I think BT might have bugged the phone, you see.
How did you get in the building anyway?
I just walked in. Hi, hello, what if you help me? I'm trying to find the Tinkerbell squad.
Sorry, you got me there.
The department that deals with phone tapping operations?
No.
I thought it said security camera. Which floor do I need?
Sorry, who are you?
My name's Mansfield.
Yeah.
I'd like to know if my phone's been bugged.
And I'll accompany you.
Is there any way I
Thank
can
you.
find out if my telephone's been bugged?
If you write to the chairman, then certainly.
Can I just quickly show
No,
I've got my telephone in the bag.
I'm afraid I'm not an engineer, so I wouldn't know. What I can do is ask you to leave the building.
Is there no way you can help me at all?
I'm sorry, I've got to ask you that you put the camera down and leave the building.
Well, it's just that I think that BT might be bugging people's telephones who shouldn't have their telephones plugged, if you know what I mean.
Speak to you later. Bye-bye.
So you don't reckon anyone can help me then?
No, it'd have to be the BT phone shop, which is down on the tube side, I'm afraid.
Would they be able to tell me if my phone's been bugged by BT
Yeah, they
at all?
should be able to.
Yeah. I think I can hear something on the line. Have you an idea who I should get in touch with?
Yeah, the doctor.
Oh, so you're a doctor?
Psychologist.
Good evening. We're going to take a break for a commercial just now. We'll break for a commercial.
Hey, bought everything there is to buy? Still not happy? Then this is the product for you. Happiness now in cans. It's the ultimate consumer sensation we guarantee you'll always want more of. And to prove it, we took new happiness straight to you, because we know you're gonna just love it. Okay, cue the Vox Pop. Happiness, now in cans. Great, get another one like him.
Happiness, now in cans.
No, enthusiasm.
More enthusiastic, yeah?
Where's the passion?
How do you feel about kissing the product?
Let's see some commitment here. Next.
I think happiness is being stoned.
What? What the hell's going on here?
I think happiness is a majorly overrated chemical reaction in the brain.
Get him off! Get him off!
I think happiness is defrauding major companies.
Cut. Forget the damn Vox Pop. Bring on the model.
Happiness, now in cans.
That's right. And with new diet, all of the joy, but none of the calories.
I want to apologize to you for the way the broadcast came on the air tonight. There were some rude people here. They tried to stage a demonstration. They've been ejected from the studio, but our apologies for the way we began.
Well, I think it was very cynical of them to devise a bridge which was really one of their pet projects, to have it up and running, knowing that, one, we had been charged too much by ferry, two, that we were law-abiding, and three, that we were in effect prisoners in our own island if we didn't use the bridge.
You can get to any other part of Britain without having to cross a toll bridge. You're left with a choice whether you want to cross a toll bridge or not. In a lot of cases, it's much cheaper for you to do that. But we don't have that choice.
They would never reveal what the tolls were. And it was only a few weeks before the actual bridge opened, after 4 years of preparation, that they announced tolls of that level, of around £5 each way. And people were mortified at this.
I don't believe in playing the tolls, so we've got to stand up and be counted, I suppose.
How many people are currently not?
not paying?
700?
At least.
At least.
How long will it take for 700 people to go through the system?
2.5 years. And 2.5, was it 2.5 years and 1 million? Or is it?
2.2 million.
Yeah, 2.2 million, someone estimated.
It's going to cost
them.
good.
Really, the victims are the most experienced imperialists in the world, and this is an extra ton of the screw. And we just, there's a few of us just think, well, that's one move too far, you know. You blew it. If you'd asked for 50 pence, you could have 50 pence forever.
What act do we charge under?
1991 Road and Streetworks Act. And 92.
And 92 and 93.
I find that I am now more bloody minded about this than I was when I started. And when I started, I thought about, oh, well, all right, so I'm fine. But now, I wouldn't even accept anybody to pay my fine for me.
You're not obliged to say anything in answer to that charge, but anything you do say will be noted and may be used in evidence. Do you understand? Yeah. What was your occupation when you were working?
Local government officer, like you.
Did he do his own defence? Will we get community service instead of jail?
No.
Well,
Robbie
says he won't because it's an alternative to
That's right.
a prison sentence. They can't give you community service instead of a fine.
No. What they might do is they might be very sneaky and give us a suspended sentence, and if we offend, then they'll put us into jail. Straight away.
No, that's after you.
But that's a long ways ahead.
That's
after
several offences.
That's after several, yes.
How many charges has everyone got? You've got charges.
Then that will sound pretty oppressive.
Larry's got 16. He's got 16 charges.
I've got 7. I've got 11.
I've got 7.
And Drew Miller's got 26.
I think the first time you go to court, I think it's better to get a lawyer.
A year from now I'll be an old age pensioner, and it's the first time in my life I've ever broken the law, and it took a wee bit of thinking about. I didn't do it very easily.
I don't like having a criminal record or facing the prospect of having a criminal record, but having said that, people in Skye know me. They know basically I'm an honest, hard-working person. They know I'm not a criminal.
I run a pest control company. Now, clearly rats is a public health hazard of significant importance, and we're not willing as a company to surcharge our customers in Skye for to a level which we consider to be totally unreasonable.
Have you ever sort of committed any kind of offence before?
Never at all until the Skye Bridge. I've refused to pay in the Skye Bridge on a number of occasions prior to the day, but apart from that, no, there's no other charge ever been brought against me.
And I think the first thing that's on the agenda is January 27th, and that's when the brewery intends to do the transporting of the ale from Skye to Point South.
Extortion ale has a different taste. In fact, we've Red Coolin, our normal brew, is quite a malty beer, but we've deliberately set out to make Extortion ale much more bitter, because the way we look on it is that we feel quite bitter, so therefore we'll make our beer a little bit more bitter as well. We thought maybe the highwayman type of thing, since the Skye Bridge, as far as we're concerned, is a touch of highway robbery.
Excellent beer. People throughout the length and breadth of the country are not fully aware of what has happened to us here. So events like this obviously bring it to their attention.
We come all this way for this protest, haven't we, mate?
That's good.
Oh, yeah, it's better, beats Newbury there, hands down, this.
quiet life, a church life, a lot of people, and they would be horrified at some of the actions that we are doing, jumping up and down and protesting. And they thought, they knew this, they know this is a quiet island, quiet people, and they thought, well, try out this new thing here, and if we get away with it here, we have a precedent. We can do it somewhere else. They never ever expected the resentment and the anger and the protests that the people of Skye are giving them against this bridge.
I think we have to remember, the riots and the braes, and that in history, these people here are fierce when roused, quite most of the time, but fierce when roused.
Hi, I'm Teen Talk Barbie, the spokesdoll for the BLO. That stands for the Barbie Liberation Organization. We're an international group of children's toys that are revolting against the companies that made us. We've turned against our creators because they use us to brainwash kids. They build us in a way that perpetuates gender-based stereotypes. Those stereotypes have a negative effect on children's development. We have set up our own hospitals where we are carrying out corrective surgery on ourselves. Now we say things like this.
Troops, attack that Cobra tank at the command post. No escape for the guilty. Vengeance is mine.
I donated my voice to a G.I. Joe, 'cause they want to be free too. They don't want to say all that violent war stuff. Now he says what I used to say.
Want to go shopping? I love school, don't you? It's such a dream. Will we ever have enough clothes?
After we finish our corrective surgery, we climb back into our cartons and are shipped to stores everywhere.
Watch carefully now as the doll leaves his hand and is placed back on the shelf. A time bomb waiting for the unsuspecting customer. Now watch as two other BLO members brazenly replace at least a half a dozen more Barbie dolls at another nearby store.
News 8, San Diego's #1 source for news.
7-year-old Zach Zevlin thought this doll was a factory mistake, but it was soon discovered this G.I. Joe was in fact ambushed by the Barbie Liberation Organization.
He's in disguise.
In press releases, the group claims to have gotten 300 altered Barbies and G.I. Joes onto store shelves in 43 states.
This little-known faction of underground toy terrorists is waging a video war, claiming responsibility for the sex change operations.
I like it because it isn't so violent. It makes it more funny.
Is nothing sacred? If protesters can tamper with the voices of children's icons, what can be next?
I want that one. You take that You will be arrested
and our freedom, our way of life, and the much-loved land in which we live.
Hi, hello, it's us. I'm Anger and I'm Solus from Der kleine Hirnfick from Switzerland, which means the little brain fuck. Here is this band you can see in the background. And you know, in this little shitty country we live, there exists also like a secret police, which has like little secret files about artists, for example. And it has also cool side effects. For example, when you don't know no more exactly what you've done, let's say 15 years ago or so, you can just go back to the files and check it out. That's clever. Yeah, and here we have such a file in a close-up, and you see, in 1985, I planned an art exhibition, and I also did some rock against racism. But the main thing we want to talk about here is that in 1983, we made, together with other people, a video film called Blutgeil. The Wohlgrot here, the really big squat, where in the end 200 people lived. We used it for one part of the film. It has a real nice pissoir and you can see it. We also planned to make the first screening there, and we did that weeks before because we went on tour with our band. And then when we did this announcement, the situation in the Wohlgrot and around looked rather calm and good. Peacefully, but when we came back from this tour, the whole situation suddenly had kind of changed.
Das Wohlgrot-Areal beim Zürcher Hauptbahnhof ist heute geräumt worden. Spezialtruppen der Zürcher Polizei gingen gegen die autonome Kulturfabrik vor, buchstäblich von allen Seiten. Hans Haldemann berichtet.
Aber schon eine halbe Stunde später ist die Polizei mit einem Großaufgebot zur Stelle, mit 200 bis 300 Mann. Angriff aus der Luft. Eine Antiterroreinheit wird herangeflogen, um die Dächer zu sichern. Die Polizei will verhindern, dass Besetzer Gegenstände hinunterwerfen oder allenfalls selber zu Boden stürzen. Plötzlich werden Zuschauer und Sympathisanten rabiat zurückgedrängt, ohne Vorwarnung. Auch nach Ablauf des Ultimatums ist der Eingang zur Fabrik offen geblieben. Trotzdem beginnt jetzt die generalstabsmäßig organisierte Räumung.
Unsere Devise war «Räumen».
Bruno!
Und das ist bis jetzt gelungen. Und wieso sind Sie nicht einfach zur Tür rein, die offen war? Es hat wohl eine Tür gehabt, die offen war, aber Sie haben gesehen, es hat andere Räumlichkeiten, die verrammelt sind. Und wir haben ja nicht gewusst, was uns da innen erwartet.
Zuerst blieb es nach der Räumung des Zürcher Wohlgrut-Areals vom Dienstag ruhig. Diesen Abend kam es jetzt zu massiven Ausschreitungen.
Ein beträchtlicher Teil der Demonstranten suchte darauf die Deckung der verwinkelten Gassen im Niederdorf, viele offensichtlich mit gewalttätiger Absicht. Die Polizeieinheiten waren hier ohne Chance. Vor allem im Bereich von Mühlegasse und Hirschenplatz kam es zu Szenen, die an die schlimmsten Nächte von 1980 erinnerten.
Journalists of Swiss newspaper Blick gave their copy of Blutgeil to the police, to the spokesman Bruno Kistler, whom we've seen before. Bruno, as a loyal officer, suddenly gave the cassette further to his commandant, who watched it in his office, then got first red in his face and afterwards very pale. Then he took a deep breath and grabbed the telephone and called his boy. It was not only the 15 policemen without uniforms in civil from the PMS, it was also about 15 policemen from the riot brigade with gas grenades and rubber bullet guns. And even anti-terror troops with machine guns. In the heat of the battle, they forget to check the list of squatted houses properly and went to our neighbors also, a respectable family with little children. And what they confiscated? Yes, a bag full of child books. Before they got it, they were in the wrong house. After the raid, they accused us of portrayal of violence. The police made a press conference, and the next day in the media, we had bad press. So we had to do something about it, and we started writing faxes and organizing press conferences ourselves, explaining once again that our video wasn't a brutalo as they told, but a comedy, and they're just too stupid to see that. And this guy we also know from the TV is the state prosecutor, and he wants us 4 months to go to jail. Finally arrived the big day of the trial. Real-life comedy or not, it took place exactly 1 year after the eviction of the Wohlgrut. And here you have one more chance to glance at these special shock troops. Especially this young, juicy policeman demonstrated how to use your club right. And not just that, he's also glancing over here. It took 3 months until they let us know what the jury exactly decided.
Der im Zürcher Untergrund entstandene Videofilm Blutgeil verstößt nicht gegen den sogenannten Brutalo-Artikel des Strafgesetzes. Das Gericht hielt fest, dass es sich bei Blutgeil um eine geschmacklose Satire und nicht um realistische Gewaltdarstellung handle.
Well, it came as it has to come. The state's persecutor promptly lodged an appeal, and 1 year later we all met again before the next higher court. And now, before your very eyes, TV Stop proudly presents from inside the courtroom with our candid camera. Here is the state attorney himself. Amongst others, he declared that our video contains the most cruel scenes of violence ever possible. They sentenced us to pay a fine and thousands of Swiss francs for all the trials they made. The cost of this real-life comedy show was in total more than $150,000. And all this theater only because of a tiny small trash film worth about 1,000.
Jetzt ist er endlich durch, knuckig. Endlich ist der Arsch durch!
Good evening. The United States of America is at war.
believe, we believe, we believe, we believe, we believe, we believe, we believe. You will believe. I believe.
After all, I was the nightmare of America and the human race.
Everyone has access to capturing devices now, audio, video, all sorts of things where you can, at home, as an individual, grab culture out of the airwaves and do whatever you want with it. And I think that's great. I think that gives us more of a folk culture in which things evolve by stealing from other things.
Yes, kids, it's the telephone.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello? Who's this?
A crack suicide squad of these paramilitary orangutans to storm the Vatican and establish a one-world government based on a sort of neo-Darwinian occult theocratic principle, which would put a giant crystal in charge, well, an intelligent crystal. This is actually what we're talking about is the Antichrist.
I don't think it's necessary to continue with this charade.
No.
I would not be surprised if God did not give some of these people some kind of a horrible disease. Now, you better wake up, folks. You that are planning these calls and that are mocking and making fun of God, you are not above God's law. Don't be surprised if God's judgment doesn't swoop down on you swift and fast.
Lord, I believe. I believe.
Coming up on today's program, we have Lies of Satan.
It's so incredibly powerful. It's piped into so many homes. So many people watch so much of it. You know, what is happening to people's minds?
Try this one, partner. Looks like real. Sounds like real.
The Sound of Power military rifle.
We're sorry about that. I had a bit of an interruption here in the broadcast. We're going to take things right from the top.
That's why I believe, I really believe, that's why I believe, that's why I believe, I really believe, that's why I believe.
Be on the lookout for Buchanan and Goodman, last seen wearing
black denim trousers and motorcycle boots.
Look out! They're after us! Let's get out of here!
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening.